Alderman Stump.
Ron and council, I don't know if we're rushing into this. I don't know if waiting for another 2 weeks is the right thing or wrong thing to do. Mayor, have you been through the same scenario you're telling us about?
Oh, I've handled performance bonds. I understand. I've never been in a situation where a bond was called.
This is all foreign to me, you know, and I don't know. We're being presented this tonight, and I have some of the concerns Mary has about, are we rushing too fast? Should we wait 2 weeks before we do this? I'm in a quandary on the action I'm willing to take at this point in time. And Ron, if you'd like to expound on that.
Being that much in arrears, we can see how how much in arrears payments to suppliers are. We barely have that much left in the job, and there's still work to be done. So how is he going to pay his labor and stuff like that? The only way I foresee that he can get out of this is if he gets a line of credit.
And I guess that's my question. Are we for certain that he's? And I guess, and that comes in if we. Will that kill his chance of him getting a line of credit if we call the bonds? Is it just done?
One entity most likely will have no idea that the other entity is acting. If we call the bonds, that bonding company, most likely the bank that he's working with, and I can't say most likely, right. It's very possible that the bank that he's working with to get a letter of credit or a line of credit, that transaction would not know of or be affected by calling the bond with company B or entity B.
I can tell you the bonding company is going to come in first and try to work with the contractor to try to get him to finish the job. It's him out, the bonding company's out on the limb for the amount that they guarantee that it's going to be done.
They could actually assist with the letter of credit saying, hey, we're on the hook anyway, so
right.
If we can assist with the letter of credit, I think the more people we get involved with pockets, the better off.
Now, I've been involved, but I'll have to say on the flip side, I was involved on the other side of the coin with a contractor, and we did have an entity call our bonds. It wasn't for non-performance, well, actually it was, but there was mitigating circumstances, and the bonding company, first thing they did was call our bank. Say, hey, what's going on? Well, we had money in the bank. We had money, it was just an issue between the entity that we were working for and us and trying to get the work done. They thought we were lollygagging around, and actually we're trying to make a point to say, leave us alone, let us do our work. They finally called the bonding company come in, called the bank, everybody all excited, and the bonding company come in to find out what was going on. They told it was the sewer district working for, so yeah, we'll call the bond. Guess what they did? They called the bond, they hired us to finish it. Problem solved. All of a sudden, the sewer district people had nothing to say to us anymore since they had to talk to the bonding company.
Alderman Russell.
What we're talking about here as far as giving him some extra time, and that the scenario, the only way that it works, that he goes ahead and gets his line of credit is to, and I'm wondering if he had discussed this with you at your meeting, that, for example, he's short on cash because he's got another or two or multiple jobs that he hasn't been paid off. Absent, he's got a large receivable coming in. He's got the big part of winter coming through, and then he'd have to get into a job to start collecting money. He'd have to front money for another job. If he hasn't got the money and he's $300,000 behind, and he can't approach a banker to go ahead and say, oh, I'm going to get my money from where? Not today. Maybe 5-10 years ago, but not today. And so I think that management wasn't there, and I don't think he's going to be able to get that line of credit, and I think that what the mayor said is going forward is the way to go. My other question to you would be on the retainage. Is it just going to keep the retainage? Is that what you want to do? I'm for that if you want to keep the retainage. If you want to give it out, or if you want to keep it for the work performance.
The contractor. I mean, it's money due the contractor for work already done. Obviously, we're not going to release it because the job's not finished.
Yeah.
So it's going to sit there. Now, the person who will get it will be the bonding company, if that's what happens, because they'll come in and finish the project. Remember, that's retainage for work already in place.
And the bonding company has to pay the subs in if that part's called, right?
Well, there'll be two bonds. One will be a performance bond to complete the project, the other one is a payment and material bond to get payments done to whoever owed money.
So when they had their conversation and he said, no, I haven't got any work coming in, I'm slow, the money didn't go, or misspent it or whatever, and they see that he hasn't got the money and nobody's gonna borrow him money, they'll make a determination and have to pay off on that. So it may come quicker for them if we start pushing this down the road.
If you want my gut reaction, I don't think so, because the bonding company, the last resort they want to do is have to pay out the money. You know, they'd rather pressure we're going to get in discussions too, because they're going to ask, how can we work this thing out? And there'll probably be a meeting between the bonding reps in the city and the contractor and say, what do we need to do here? You know, how can we work this out without them physically having to dig into their pockets and plop the money on the table and get the work done? That's the last resort on a bonding company, to get the work done at their own behest. And they will hire contractors, you know, working for them to finish it.
Yeah, I didn't know if we could bring that up. He's probably chasing jobs and he's using the money for this, our project to pay some previous jobs. And eventually you get caught up in that, so.
I don't know.
I didn't know what the word on the street was.
We don't want to speculate.
No.
Absolutely.
Mr. Hudson?
Just one or two comments, and I know we've talked about retainage and those types of things, and I would just advise that we don't release that retainage at all. We just get ourselves into a situation that if we release it, and we shouldn't have now, we have to go back to the bonding company to say why, they're gonna ask us why we released the retainage. It just seems to me that in talking through this, we probably have a default on the payment bond, but my question is there enough of a default that we've got on the performance bond to be able to call?
We may not.
May not, but it's worth trying to say, hey, we'd like to get the job done.
Same bonding company?
Same bonding company. It's the same bonding company for all three bonds. Same amount. It's for the total amount of the project, plus any extras or deducts.
We got a motion on the floor. Any other questions, comments? Roll call. All right, actually, let me repeat the motion again. The motion is to have Mr. Williams work with Mr. Hudzik and Mr. Adams as needed to move forward with calling the payment bond and the performance bond.
Thank you.
That,
Yes. That's what I said.
roll call.
Eversol.
Yes.
Agni.
Yes.
Nimitz.
Yes.
Round.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Overfeld.
Yes.
Stump.
Yes.
Wrestler.
Yes.
We'll be getting with Mr. Adams this week and see if we can, I want to make sure we do it right.
Absolutely.